Muy buenas tardes. Comenzamos la siguiente mesa redonda y voy a presentar al primero de las personas que van a intervenir. Es el señor Piero Attanasio. Piero Attanasio es licenciado en Económicas por la Universidad de Bolonia. Ah, perdón, quizás he cambiado. Preferimos... Y como decía, es licenciado en Económicas por la Universidad de Bolonia y comenzó a trabajar en el sector editorial en 1986 y en 1995 entró en la Asociación Italiana de Editores, en la que actualmente se ocupa de los proyectos internacionales y en concreto coordina el proyecto Arrow. Es presidente del ISBN Internacional y miembro del Comité de la Asociación Internacional de Editores. Es también miembro de la Fundación Internacional del DOI y del Grupo de Expertos de Editores Digitales Europeos. Es autor de numerosos artículos y de 2 libros sobre la industria del libro. Tiene la palabra.
Muchas gracias. Thank you for inviting me to this seminar and presenting this project that is for us very important. And I would like to start from the beginning, from the origins of the project. Though, actually, the origin of the project is exactly the debate that was today about orphan works, out-of-print works, the need of dealing with rights during the digitalization, and in particular the need of searching right holders. On the other side, the context of this project is digital publishing, and digital publishing is now. And I'd like to say in particular a thing about this, and a particular element of the new environment from a publishing point of view, that is that in the digital market, the consumer do not buy digital objects, as they did in the analog world, but they buy rights for digital use of content. So they buy the rights to access, to download, to duplicate or distribute, print, integrated with data works, and so on and so forth. So there is a need, a particular need for an infrastructure, an open infrastructure based on standards for dealing with the rights information. That's one of the key starting points of our project. So, what is the Arrow purpose? The Arrow, the OW, the final 2 letters of Arrow is for orphan works, but actually we will not look for orphans. We look for their parents. What I mean is that the orphan status is the result of a failure, the failure during the search of the right holder. And it's a sad result, as in any case there is an orphan. And all data converge in estimating that in our sector, in the book sector alone, orphans are relatively few. So it is important to focus on the large majority of books where we can find the right holder, rather than the orphans. So the key value of the project is not related to the final result of defining an orphan. It's more, in my view, to the fact that we will be able to find the right holders. We are creating tools. We are creating tools that facilitate the dealings with the rights and facilitate, in particular, the search of right holders. And those tools are conceived as neutral. Neutral in respect to business models, to user purposes, but in particular neutral in respect to any legal framework. So we are neutral in respect to the debate of tomorrow morning, when the different solutions, the legal solution to the orphan work problem will be analyzed. We are trying to do something that may be useful for any of those solutions. When I say we, I speak about 30 partners and associate members of our consortium in 13 countries. We have we are representative of the main three stakeholders. So libraries, we have the European Digital Library Foundation plus 8 national libraries. The right holders, we have the Federation of European Publishers and 6 publisher associations around Europe and 2 authors associations. We are also representative of the RROs, so the collective management organization in our sectors, since we have IFRO and 8 RROs in Europe. The other aspect I would like to emphasize, we have also, of course, some technology developers, but I would like also to emphasize that we have many standard organizations in the consortium. We have many ISBN agencies, the European DOI agency, the ISTC consortium members, some editors members, and so on and so forth. What is the arrow system? The arrow system is something that we just developed in the first release and is based on quality-controlled information sources. So what we do is to query different sources of information in order to find information about right authors. In principle, a library sends us a file with multiple records of books they want to scan and make available. They specify which type of use they want to do. And we start the process. The first part of the process is within the library domain. Within the library domain, we use TEL, the European Library, and we first match the records from the library with the TEL index in order to recognize the book we are dealing with. And then the very delicate part is to clustering. Clustering means to put together all the different editions that over the time has been done of a certain work. So the different editions of the same novel, for instance. Then we took other information from the VIAF, the Virtual International Authority file, in order to retrieve specific information about the authors in particular, and we put together all those data. Then we use those data to query the books in print catalogs in the country. Again, we match records. What we do here is to determine if a book is in print or out of print, and we also collect some information about publishers. That since usually the best source for publishers' contact details are the books in print catalogs, databases. Then we put together all those data, the library and the books in print data, and query the RROs, the collective management organization, they are the best sources for specific information about right status and very often for right holder contact detail. Again, collect all the data and pass to the library. Then sometimes, we hope rarely, we don't find any data. So we don't recognize the book, so we have an orphan candidate, not yet an orphan, but an orphan candidate we put in a website and a database in order to process further this. So the current stage, as I said, this system is now in place, and we started piloting in Germany. And by June 2010, so in a couple of months, we also start the pilot in France, Spain, and the UK. In the forthcoming months, we will do some work in other countries, including Italy, let me say. I am an Italian. You have seen that it's quite a complex system. So the question is it possible to make it easier? Why do you decide to have such a complex? For instance, someone asked us, can a single registry of right information solve the problem? So to create a big database with all the information. Yes, it is possible in principle. Possible is, in the design term, is easier, but it's much more expensive. The scale is 1 to 10 probably, more or less. So it will cost 10 times, more or less. And above all, it would create a monopoly of the information about this aspect that are very, very important. And I would not to suggest such a solution if we want to preserve a pluralistic and diverse market. The second possibility is why don't simplify everything through a new law. However, what we discover is that 90% of our job is matching and clustering, that process I described before. And those exercises you have to do for any type of legal system. Two examples. One is the very famous Google settlement agreement with the publishers and authors in the US. When that agreement was issued, they also created something that is similar in the purpose, though different in the way it is designed than Arrow. That is the book right registry. So also in that case, it seemed a very simplified system. They required a system like ours. Not precisely Arrow, of course. I don't want to say that Arrow is the only possible solution, but you need a solution like this. And what's about the extended collecting management systems? Even when you have an extended collecting management system, you need to discriminate between books. So you need to make some exercise like that I described. Because if you want to have sort of broad license, the example is the Norwegian project, Bookshelf, that did not this exercise, but the result is that the alternative that is very clear is to limit the use. It's true that they extend the license also to people that didn't agree, but at that point, since they need some consensus, the extended collecting license is based on consensus from stakeholders, they limit it to Norwegian users, and they also limit it to only view on screen. If you want broader users to be licensed, I think that you need to discriminate between books. The value we offer, we just, when the library submits a file, we provide information. That's the best information we are able to find in the different databases. We can say if that book is in public domain or it's in print or out of print, if another row has already a mandate for license, also because probably they have an extended collecting license system so they can provide under that scheme, or if the license is denied by the right holder, or any other information that may be irrelevant. Only in the case we don't find anything, we say that this is an apparent orphan. What we expect to provide, we are piloting and we will measure what we really are able to provide. We expect that for a certain percentage of books, we will provide a final answer to the library. So you can scan or you cannot scan, it's denied or whatever. For another percentage, we can provide information that are not the final information, requires further analysis, but it's a step forward. For another small, I hope, percentage, we have no information at all. The three parameters that will not depend exclusively by Arrow, will depend much more from the level, in terms of quality of the data that we query. Of course, if the database we are going to query are not comprehensive, the answer will be less effective. And precisely for that, there is an important aspect I would like to emphasize to close. That is, the system is based on the principle of data discovery and possibly enriching that data through any manual data processing. But data that are created from that process will enrich the network, will not create a single database, but enrich the network. So in the long term, I think that the best value is for the countries that currently have not a good infrastructure for joining. So there is this different situation in different types of countries. What's next? Okay, that's I already more or less said. Just to conclude, Arrow is an ambitious project, and for this reason, we don't promise too much. We will not solve all the problems related to the orphan works, I can promise. That will not solve all the problems. We cannot create a registry with all the information. We cannot create data that currently doesn't exist, and many other things. We will help people and organizations for all these purposes. We will support other people. And while remaining an open network, that is very, very important for us. We are all based on standard, and we want to remain as open as possible. And we want to maintain these limited promises. Thank you very much.